So next up, we have Lithium Australia, ASX code LIT. Lithium Australia has a market cap of around $25 million. Lithium Australia is aiming to lead and enable the global transition to sustainable lithium production. LIT operates Australia's market-leading battery recycler, produces critical battery material lithium ferrophosphate, LFP, and has developed a patented lithium extraction technology. Lithium Australia's profit-generating recycling business and technologies are well placed to capitalise on growing global lithium-ion battery demand and provides diversification benefits to global supply chains. Presenting today is Simon Linge, Managing Director and CEO. Simon, welcome, and please take it away, sir.
Thanks, Manny. Great pleasure to be with you and everybody else on this Friday. Today, I'll give an overview of our company and the strong progress we are making in commercialising and scaling our businesses and technology. We can move on to the next slide. There was the usual disclaimer about forward-looking statements, etc. And there were, in terms of where we operate, our history started as a mining explorer, but we are firmly no longer involved in mining exploration or mining. We have a range of technologies that fit across the lithium-ion battery value chain, and in particular, some patented technologies around lithium chemicals and battery materials, and an applied technology around battery recycling. Today, in terms of technologies, they're at different stages of development. In terms of our patented technologies, they're pre-revenue, but now in scaling mode. Lithium chemicals technology works at the mining end of the spectrum. It improves yield at hard rock lithium mines by up to 50%. It's a very novel and disruptive technology. And importantly, we've entered into a joint development agreement with Mineral Resources, where they're fully funding the development of that technology. And right now it's going through a piloting phase and an engineering study around building a demonstration plant, which ultimately will see us form a joint venture with Mineral Resources around that technology. Battery materials patented technology, it sees us operating a pilot plant in Brisbane, where we're able to qualify our battery material, which goes at the positive end of a battery, a cathode active material called LFP. That technology is, we're one of the few people outside of China, which currently supplies about 95% of demand. But we're one of the few outside of China with the ability to make that. Our pilot plant gets us through the first two stages of qualification of material in a 4-step process. So we're looking to scale that technology and make a decision around moving to a demonstration facility for that technology this calendar year. And our battery recycling technology is an applied technology. We're the leading battery recycler in Australia today, focused on lithium-ion batteries and the recycling of lithium-ion batteries and the recovery of the critical materials that sit inside of those batteries. Moving on to the next slide, we'll talk a little bit more about our battery recycling facility business and give you a better look at the economics. Next slide, please. Over the last 12 months, we've really focused on how we can grow our battery recycling business. As I said, we had a leading position. We've accelerated that position. And we've done that by focusing on a few things. We've chosen to focus our business around lithium-ion batteries and the recycling of lithium-ion batteries. And importantly, our focus is on larger format lithium-ion batteries. Why? By larger format in Australia, that's defined as 5 kilos and above. Why are we doing that? We see, in terms of battery types, lithium-ion batteries as the primary growing segment of battery across all sectors. We also see large format as being the biggest driver of those types of battery growth, that volume growth. Typically, it also lends itself to dealing with B2B relationships, so large OEMs, like you can see some of the brands on this slide. But it also allows us to focus on the servicing of those brands and takes us away from the smaller consumer batteries, which typically are quite costly and complex in collection networks. That focus on large format lithium-ion batteries has allowed us to sign up some of the brands that you see here, plus others like LG Energy Solutions, onto exclusive long-term contracts. By long-term, in our speak, that's typically 3 years or greater, and some of the recent contracts we've signed are up to 8 years. If we can go to the next slide. In addition to switching and making sure we were really strategic about where we wanted to service the market and grow with the market, we've also shifted our commercial model. Typically in battery recycling globally, you either receive the batteries in at nil cost or you actually pay for the batteries. For us, that didn't make sense from an economic point of view. Receiving and paying for a battery and then relying on the value streams that you pull out downstream, where you're exposed to commodity cycles that can be quite volatile, was not an economic model that we wanted to move forward with. By servicing large B2B clients, we're able to actually charge a fee for service. So we charge an upstream fee to our clients to collect their batteries, safely dispose and destroy their batteries, and that fee covers our cost plus some margin. What we then do is sell the downstream value streams that are created out of a battery. They range from steel, copper, aluminium, but importantly, the critical minerals that are inside the battery, known in the industry as black mass, we refer to it as mixed metal dust, being able to sell those into the market. We've done that, though, in a share model with our clients, where beyond a floor price for those commodities, any upside from that floor price, we share on a 50-50 basis with our clients. And we're seeing a lot of positive feedback from clients, and hence why we're able to sign them up onto these exclusive long-term agreements. Next slide, please. So we've sorted out how to, where we're going to play and how the feedstock of batteries to come in and how to go and secure that feedstock and how we're going to price that processing that feedstock. But in terms of the materials that come out in terms of the value streams, we've recently signed a 3-year binding offtake agreement with a long-term partner of ours, SunHill Hi-Tech, who are a leading battery recycler around the world. They have operations in South Korea, but also in Europe and now as they enter the United States as well. Our agreement with them is for 60% of our offtake of mixed metal dust or black mass. They would love to take it all, but we like that 60% mix because it allows us to see where the market's developing and get some views about price realisation. But importantly, our relationship is deep with SunHill. So we're actually talking right now, negotiating right now, a joint development agreement, which would see SunHill invest into our recycling business on the basis of acquiring more black mass, both in absolute number and as a percentage of offtake. If we move on to the next slide, the reason why we're looking for SunHill's capital to help our recycling business is to really scale the business. Right now, we've reshaped the business in terms of the market we service and how we will commercialise that, which has allowed us to become profitable in our recycling business. We're one of the few people around the world, not the only person group around the world that actually has a profitable lithium-ion recycling business today. That profitability and the scale up allows us to think about scaling the business. And right now is a build phase for us. We'll continue to build on the strong progress we've made to profitability in recycling, but importantly, plan for that scale up. And so the funds that SunHill will be able to put into the business will help us with that scale up. Firstly, within our Victorian operations, we've grown so fast today that we're across 2 sites. We want to bring those sites into one mega site or super site. But we also want to expand into other states and grow with the market, particularly into Queensland and Western Australia, where we think there's a great opportunity to support the electrification that's occurring in the mining industry. If we move on to our patented technology, so onto the next slide, please. And first up, our lithium chemical technology, which we refer to as Linge. This is the technology that is a subject of a joint development agreement with Mineral Resources, which we entered into in August last year. Mineral Resources are fully funding the piloting and of this technology, which has ostensibly been complete last month, and is now we're moving on to an engineering study, which is all around the design of a demonstration facility. At the end of this year, when the engineering study is complete, we'll form a joint venture with Mineral Resources around this technology, and then look to issue a license to Mineral Resources for the first demonstration facility, which they will build and fund. After the successful launch of the demonstration facility, we'll be able to move on to commercial licenses. And the joint venture has a remit to issue licenses, not just to Mineral Resources and its efforts, but also to any hard rock lithium miner around the world. And this technology, which is novel and disrupted and patented, has the capacity to generate millions of dollars of revenue for lithium miners around the world as it works on waste material effectively in terms of their mine sites. So we see those royalties from a licensing model generating, depending on how you assume volume and pricing, but around $20 million per license per annum. And so we're really excited about where this technology is going. Finally, onto our next slide, if I can. LFP commercialisation pathway. As I said, we've got a pilot plant in Brisbane, able to get through the first 2 steps of a 4-step process. We're looking to scale that into a demonstration facility. 2 pathways that we're working on at the moment. We should be clear around these pathways by the end of September. One is in Australia, a small facility, but we're looking at some joint financing with the Australian and Queensland governments around that. And the second pathway is with an international strategic partner for a larger facility at demonstration level outside of Australia. But ultimately, that's a pathway to commercialisation where we would see us build commercial plants around the world at 25,000 tonnes per annum for each plant. And each one of those would generate about $320 million worth of revenue US. So finally, if we move on to our next couple of slides, just to summarise, you'll see some news across our business over the next 6 months. Both in terms of battery recycling, continuing to sign up new clients and our joint development agreement with Sunnyhill High-Tech. Hopefully you'll see a decision around battery materials and its move to demonstration facility. And you'll see some news around our lithium chemicals and its progress with Mineral Resources. Lithium Australia, if we go to the next slide, just to wrap up, Lithium Australia is Australia's leading battery recycler. It is profitable today, and we will continue to build on that profitability. And we've got great potential with our patented technologies to really see great revenues and great margins out of both our lithium chemicals and battery materials technologies. So with that, Aaron, I'll switch to Q&A.
Simon, thank you for that. That's great. It's a fascinating business, really, and it's so given the environment right now, very, very topical. Can I? There's a couple of questions for you. Can I just start with coming back to the Sunnyhill High-Tech development agreement? How will that agreement? What are your expectations around? How will it assist from a technological perspective, and how will it help to drive your revenues in particular?
Yeah. Thank you. It's a great question. Sunnyhill are interested in more black mass or mixed metal dust. So the investment they're looking to make will help us put in some equipment into our current facilities that will improve quality and quantity of black mass, but also then help us with the scaling of our facility in Victoria principally, but then give us the footprint to be able to expand further. So it will help in terms of particularly the quality and the quantity of our black mass. Some of our equipment needs some additional enhancements to get us to the next level of quality. That gets you to a next level of payable on the materials. By doing that, we strip out some more contaminants, but it also gives us some extra quantities as well.
Okay, understood. Now, you also mentioned that you have some additional offtake negotiations underway. What's the status of those? Are they geographically quite diverse?
Now, most of our black mass goes into Asia in a broadest definition, not into China, but into Korea and Southeast Asia. Those offtake agreements are with a range of companies that we've worked with for a period of time, but our principal relationships with Sunil, and we're going to look to expand that relationship, not only through the joint development agreement, but well into the future.
Okay, and just with regards to government assistance, now you also briefly touched on that. You mentioned that particularly within Australia, and given your pilot plans, you mentioned that the Australian government is looking at supporting you and supporting the business. Can you elaborate a little bit on what support they're going to give?
Yeah, so I'm sure all the viewers are well aware of Future Made in Australia strategies, the critical mineral strategies, and more recently the Battery Breakthrough Initiative. So we're a leading contender, if not the leading contender, for support from the Australian government as part of that initiative. They very much want to see us move down the value stream from digging lithium out of the ground to actually making the materials that go into batteries, in this case, a cathode active material. So they're very much looking at how they can support us. For us, that's our ask of the government is being very clear, and we're working with both the Queensland government and the federal government in this regard to finance 50% of the demonstration facility. What that does is help us bring in the private capital that will fund the other 50%, but not just around the demonstration facility. The private capital is really looking to be de-risked on the technology step up, which is where we'll go with this demonstration facility. But really, the private capital is looking for the commercial facility. They just want to be de-risked at the demonstration level. Once that's done, we've got plenty of people who are looking to support us through that commercialisation journey and providing a non-Chinese battery value chain.
Simon, thank you very much for that today. That was great. We'll hopefully get you back with further progress later on in the year. And until then, please have a great weekend, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks very much, Manny.